Brad. Jalen in the hand. How concerned are you with that? I know he said he thinks he'll be back next weekend, but what's kind of the assessment of that injury?
No, I think he'll be practicing by middle to the end of the week and be fine. So we're okay there.
And Joe's assessment of the year, he's been very pleased with the team and their consistency this year. Maybe a few slip-ups here or there that cost you guys the 1 seed, but overall, what's kind of been your assessment of the year and the consistency the team built?
I mean, it's hard to be good. It's hard to win. Winning as many games as this team's won, or being, especially with the idea that you're going to get everybody's best shot every night, knowing that. And the way that different guys have stepped up on different nights, I think that they've done a great job. Players and coaches, they've navigated the inevitable ups and downs of a season well. I think that obviously, looking ahead or moving forward, the East is very, very good. I think it's probably the best I've seen since I've been here. And, to have however many wins we have right now and to be where we've been, and also to do that with a target has been, I would tend to agree with him. I think it's been really well navigated by everybody.
What do you think, one more on Joe, what made him so successful in year one, you think?
He was going to be really good. That's been pretty obvious for a long time. But he's been consistent in his own approach, win, lose, or he comes back and he works the next day. He wants to grow. He wants to improve. He demands that of the team. I think he does a good job of picking what the emphasis needs to be in the big picture, and also in those small moments of, the snippets of time, the snippets of games when we're having something is waning a little. He does a good job of figuring that out and making that a priority to improve. And, overall, obviously every team has their ups and downs, but if you watch us in the last 2 weeks in the vast majority of our play, I think we've gotten better. And that's really encouraging because, we struggled out of the gate after the All-Star break, and that, we could have limped in, but I thought we did a much better job in the last couple of weeks. And he's been very consistent regardless of whether we've lost 3 in a row or won 5 in a row the whole year.
I was just curious what kind of compelled you to do this. This is kind of unusual end of regular season chat with us. Is there any?
No, just I asked our media team if they wanted me to talk, because I'll probably, let the coaches and players do all the talking in the playoffs, because it's their show. They deserve that. And
how did you feel? Obviously, you guys are pretty detailed in Rob's structure over the course of the year. How did you feel that went with your plan and kind of where he's at now as he's ramping up and looking pretty good?
Knock on wood, the whole team, not just him, it's been good. Obviously missing a bunch of games at the start of the year was not ideal. It did force us to kind of morph into a team that could do other things and, give us a different way of playing. And so there was some advantage to that. And then he's come back and played well, and I'm really encouraged that he played, the minutes he played the last couple of games. Such a balance as you get late in the year of, getting appropriate rest and doing that through the minor, injuries that everybody's got, and ramping up and making sure that you play enough games at playoff minutes, making sure you play, have enough real practice sessions at minutes that, challenge you. I think that's really important.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. You talked about how with like Jason and Jalen, they were getting a lot of 40-minute games in the middle of the season, and you wanted them to get some of those to have that ramp up.
Yeah.
But like Jason, he hit a wall after the All-Star break. Has kind of come around for him. How do you feel like the management of his load over the course of the season?
Yeah, I mean, specifically since the All-Star break, really good, right? I mean, he's had a couple of, again, little nagging things that have popped up. So he's missed a couple of games here and there. Which in the big picture is not the end of the world. And then I think even if you take out the 49-minute game that he played, the minutes are even down a little bit from the start of the year, and yet he's gotten a few of those games that keep you ready, because he's going to be a big minute guy in the playoffs, obviously, and Jalen as well. I feel good about us. I feel good about the way that everything's been managed. Joe's done a really good job with that. And I think, part of that has been, you also, one of the things that the biggest challenge of coaching in this league is, just all the things you've got to do throughout the course of the game and all the things you've got to keep a pulse on. And I always thought that in the first 20 games I did it, my head was spinning. But after that, each 5 to 10 games, you get way more comfortable managing all that and doing all that. And I just think overall, players, coaches, everybody have done a good job of getting us to this point. And, again, knock on wood, hopefully we can get through today, and feel good about everybody's body and get ready to go to work.
And from the beginning of when he took over the job, Joe talked so much about like trusting the players and how it needs to be a collaborative process, and that goes all the way to like the way he manages timeouts, wanting the guys to figure it out there. Especially considering you were such like a process-oriented coach, how do you feel like Joe's kind of doctrine has worked out like over the long period of time?
Well, I mean, I think some of the times those narratives crop up, right? Like, and then if you watch in the last couple of months, he's calling the game as he sees it now, even more so than before, right? So he's quicker to stop a run. He's quicker to do things. He may stop the game so he can make a sub. He may stop a game, or he may let a game go so they can't make a sub. There's a lot of decisions to be made in that moment, and you kind of feel out how your team best needs you. And that takes time. That takes time for a person that's done it for 30 years, and it takes time for a person that's never done it before. And he's done a good job. I just think he's done a good job. And again, I think it goes to what you said about the process. All he wants to do is learn and grow, and he's great with that. And, I think that he's been a great strength for us.
Hey, Brad, just wondering what your thoughts are on Justin, and what were those conversations like for the 15th roster spot?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I think I said this after the trade deadline, but it was more about, we feel like if we get to the finish line and we are healthy, we have a lot of options and we can withstand some injuries. We've seen that all year. Our depth is really good. Whoever would have come in would need to know they're likely not going to play, right? And this is a growth opportunity for him. He's going to be given all kinds of opportunity within those practice times and the individual work times, and he's got to add to the collective in that, and then he's got to bring great energy, in the other settings when he's not playing as much. But this is a great opportunity for him to grow and get better, and we have to, if we were in a position where we needed to fill minutes, you may look with a person that has done more in the league. For us, we've got, we have several games where guys that are good players don't get in. And that's great because we're going to need them all. But right now for us, it was, okay, let's see if we can find a younger guy who we really like, that we think his upside is good, that understands what this is about as far as team and what his role is in that. And then, see if we can't invest our time and energy into him and, find somebody. We have to do some of that, especially with where we are. We haven't made a first-round draft pick in a while.
Brad, heading into the playoffs, do you do the same approach that you had with Joe Mazzulla? Him being his first postseason. How much do you reach out to him in terms of like navigating through a best-of-7 series, or do you just do what you've been doing all season long in the sense of keeping communication with your coach?
We talk every day, but I want to go back to this. Joe's a strength. So, he's done a really good job. And, I understand because he's new that, the easiest thing to do is nitpick him. But he's done a really good job. If he needs me, I'm here. And if he, but I trust him and I trust his staff. And they've all done a good job. And I think our players would all second that.
Now that the season's almost over, just going back to the way it began, just everything the players and coaches had to deal with, what was it about this team that allowed them to kind of stay together and focus on the basketball through that?
I just think, well, first of all, again, whether it's a staff, whether it's players, support staff, whatever, everybody has done their jobs well. And, the character in the room's really high. I think, and, we could go through each person and how they've added to that. But the great examples are a couple of the older guys that we brought in that they've just embraced what's important and being about the team and doing whatever role they need to do to help us have success throughout the entire year, including, as we're going through ups and downs of the season. It's so easy to get off kilter. It's so easy to say you're excited about that in October and not be excited about that in February or March. So I'd say it's the character in the room. These guys are about team, and so, I want them to all have an amazing run coming up. But it's going to be really hard, right from the get-go. But this group deserves it because they're the kind of people they are.
Last question, Abby.
Career season for Jalen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Now when it comes down to All-NBA, that's something he can't control, something you can't control. But you've seen him grow throughout his entire career. What stood out to you most about him, and why does he deserve to be All-NBA?
Yeah, I think Jason and Jalen should be on the All-NBA team. I think that's, again, what they've done throughout the course of this year, and I think that, you asked about Jalen, so I'll talk about Jalen in particular as you watch kind of the trajectory of the year too. Like, he's also really played his best basketball, I think, in the last couple of months, and he was, an obvious all-star.
Presented by your New England Ford dealers. Built for America. Built Ford proud.